Okay, now we're getting to the fun part. So now we're excited to have innovators come up on stage, pitch their startup. So the way it's going to work is they're going to have 5 minutes to pitch their startup with or without a deck. And then followed by that, they're going to have 5 minutes of Q&A and feedback from our panel of judges. Actually, if I can get Tim to come up, please. And so first up, we have Giovanni. You ready?
Ready.
You ready to kick this off?
Hell yeah.
So New Force Media, I present you Giovanni.
Thank you. Can I get a wireless mic, though? Oh, there we go. Testing. Great. Thank you very much, Jesse. Thank you, Latino Startup Alliance, for allowing us to share our venture with you. My name is Giovanni Dubois, and I know many of you here in the audience, thanks to an organization called LAM Network, Latin American Media. I started LAM 6 years ago because of the same need that everybody here has been talking about, and it was the need to connect with other like-minded individuals. With my Latino-ness, I am from Guatemala, I was a PhD student at Berkeley studying robotics, and I really needed to connect. But today I'm here, fast forward to today, that network LAM has evolved and grown to something I never thought imaginable. It is now the largest social media platform here in the Bay Area for Latino professionals. But today I'm here wearing two hats, one as the founder of LAM and one as the co-founder of New Force Media. New Force Media was started when LAM joined forces with Dot429. Dot429 is the world's largest social media platform for LGBT professionals. And we understand that the 21st century will be defined by diversity and by empowering those diversity groups. New Force Media creates social media platforms for affinity groups to connect and create valuable relationships. We started with two groups, very important groups, the influential Latino market and the LGBT professional market. Both of these groups represent large and growing markets that are not only powerful with their spending power, with the Latinos by 2015 spending more than $1.5 trillion, but the LGBT market, $700 billion in spending power, but also because advertisers are spending a lot of money to reach these demographics. Just the Latino alone is $4.3 billion, and for the LGBT market, it's more than $300 million a year. So what does New Force Media offer to our members? We offer a 360-degree engagement through live events, interactive website, and curated content. And luckily, our members love us because of everything that we provide. And it's been proven because we've grown by 5x in the last 2 years to close to 100,000 members. But more than our members, our advertisers love us. We've been lucky enough to partner with companies like Armani, Verizon, Aeromexico, to be able to put them front and center into everything that we do with our members, creating that 360-degree engagement. And because of it, we've been able to double our revenue in the last 2 years and closing close to $1 million in 2013. What we've created is a very strong business structure that takes advantage of a lot of synergies. Because we're targeting different groups, we're able to utilize the same resources for sales team, for the technology, change the front end, same back end, same marketing brain power, same event production power. And utilizing this, we created the platform that can easily be replicated once we have the Latino market and the LGBT market into different networks, into the influential African American market, into the influential Asian American market, and so on. The business model is simple. We have different key revenue streams. One of them is the Big Idea campaign. Fiat came over when they launched their car. They wanted to tap into the most influential LGBT professionals in 10 different markets. And New Force Media was able to deliver on that. We have online advertising. We have magazine advertising. Dot429 just launched a magazine in October nationally. And we had Jessica Parker to be on the cover and share her story with her best friend. And in the future, we'll have premium membership as well. This structure in our business plan will allow us to be profitable by 2015 and reaching close to 100 million in revenue by the year 2018 with Taylor Media, with live events, with premium membership, and the Big Idea campaigns. We're currently raising $3 million in a Series B round to expand LAM nationally, continue the expansion of .429 into new markets, potentially global, continue optimizing our technology, enhance our media platforms, and grow our technology team. We've been successful in growing a strong team that has allowed us to do what we've done. With our CEO, previously great marketing experience, Chief Marketing Officer at Kmart, and VP of Marketing at Levi's. With Richard Klein, who successfully started and launched a magazine called Surface Magazine for 20 years and successfully sold it a couple years before starting .429. And we're currently looking to partner with individuals that believe in relationships, because the future is diversity and relationships. So thank you very much.
My name's Curtis, by the way. Nice to meet you, Giovanni. I was a little bit confused in the beginning. I like your approach, building a network platform where you have multi-brands underneath that. The one thing I wanted to ask, now, is this growth, is there a slide that would reflect where the growth in this whole platform is coming from, whether it's in FM or .429?
So currently, this is combined.
Okay.
So LAM, it was a hobby of mine for 5 years. It became an actual business a year ago. And LAM currently has close to more than 6,000 members. .429 currently has 90,000 members. So combined, we're close to 100,000 members. But .429 has been in existence for 3 years as a business, and they're at a national platform already.
Okay. So going forward, is the overall brand New Force Media, and then you have different entities within that?
Correct.
Okay.
Different entities within New Force Media. New Force Media provides the platform for the different entities.
Hi, I'm Wayne Sutton. Love the information you shared about in terms of your growth and how you got started, your story. I too, again, in the beginning was like, okay, is this an agency or is this a platform? So I think anything you can do to simplify the story in terms of saying, because we're, Silicon Valley, we love platforms, right? We love marketplaces and so forth. So we continue to simplify that process in terms of saying the story of that you're X, we built this, and our revenue model is this, and we have this community and so forth. I think would be valuable, simple. And then understanding your markets. We get that. That was a great explanation. And also where the opportunity is going. And congrats on your previous fundraiser. And also, but that's also, it made me think, so you're raising Series B, so your previous fundraising, was it split up with multiple companies, or was, because it's not just one single thing?
So the previous fundraising was .429, and it was angel investors.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they started back 3 years ago.
Okay.
LAM was self-funded, and it's still been self-funded, but we're joining forces because of the amazing synergies that we talked about.
Yeah. So I think depending on your positioning in terms of moving forward and pitching this, to try to simplify it in terms of this is New Force Media, and here's our story. And because when you start talking about .429 and LAM, and we're like, okay, what is what, and so let's keep it short, simple, and direct. But very impressive, and congrats on your success so far.
And to answer your question about, what was your first comment? Can you refresh I had an answer to that. I got caught on the second part. I'll think about it.
My name is Tim. Again, this is quite impressive. Strategically, marketing-wise, I love New Force Media as a brand. It has great appeal to it. Maybe I missed this, but what does LAM and .429 mean? Where does it come from?
LAM stands for Latin American Media, and we focus on purely Latino market, the influential Latino market segment. Dot 429 is, the name came up from dot, connecting the dots. 429 spells out gay in a phone book, in a phone pad. Different entities under the same umbrella utilizing the same platform. So we are a platform that provide live events, an interactive website that's a blend between Facebook, Meetup, and LinkedIn. We have a member directory. People have the same features as such. You have an extensive member directory with amazing individuals. That's, I had it in my pitch, but I forgot it to say it during my pitch.
One brief question. So I noticed that you guys got a lot of irons in the fire as far as like events and job listings and content and whatnot. What is the sweet spot for overall, for across?
The
all
sweet
brands?
spot is for advertisers to reach a demographic that's very difficult to reach and that they're basically invisible. We found through research and our own surveys and focus groups that companies like Verizon trying to reach an educated Latino and connect with them in a very meaningful way is very difficult for Verizon to do. And through our 360-degree engagement, we're able to place Verizon at our events, in our website, in our content, and educate our individuals. So the sweet spot is connecting with influential and trendsetters and in different affinity groups.
I mean, across all of those different features, I would say, like, is it events that's like the big driver for you guys, or
It's
is it the job
re-
listings or the content?
In revenue, you mean?
It's all ad supported, I see.
Right, it's
but-
all ad supported. So for the members is the live events so that they're able to connect offline, and also the interactive website so they're able to connect online.
Okay.
For the advertisers is to be able to be placed everywhere and reach the very difficult to reach demographic.
Advertisers don't matter, the customers.
Customers matter.
Yeah,
But
so-
for our customers is the live events and the interactive website.
Just to really, hi, Jorge Calderon from Impact Strategy Advisors. Giovanni, actually, you and I spoke 4 or 5 years ago when we just started LAM. Probably don't remember me, but that's okay. You know, in a pitch, there's really 3 components, right? There is the building the case, there's the actual talking about the solution, and then there's the other. And the other includes stuff like your presentation style, your team members, partners, success stories, stuff like that. I think my colleagues really talked about the solution and asked you questions around that. Let me give you a really quick feedback on the other, and then a question about the business case. So on the other, you definitely have some gravitas. So when you get up and you speak, you're obviously well-spoken. I think obviously that comes out probably from your work with LAM in general, but also from your entrepreneur experiences. So that's a really good thing. And you know, that kind of the stage presence really translates well into marketing your company. Something that, you know, in a lot of pitch events goes awry. You know, people just don't know how to present very well. So you have that going for you, which is great. The piece about your team is really good. I would encourage you to actually put some of their background on your slide, because even though you verbally said it, you know, we're all following the slide as well. It's more powerful if you actually put some of that stuff on there, because you probably do have some pretty heady people on there, and so that's pretty good. So that's just about the other. The thing about business case is I didn't really get the business case yet. You know, you talk more about the solution and not really about the business case. You put some numbers up about, you know, 1.5 billion in terms of potential market, and then the spend and stuff like that. So one, you know, that's not very clear because your demographic is going to be much smaller than that, at least, you know, in the outset, right?
Yeah.
And then you didn't really define what your problem is that you're trying to solve. So maybe you can quickly tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. So the problem we're trying to solve for the members is to have a platform where we can connect. What Ketty was saying is, and I've experienced it myself, at Berkeley as a robotics engineer, I didn't know many Latinos. At Facebook, same problem. At Google, same problem. So I went out and I had a need, and I created a platform where I can connect. First, it was just parties and a hobby that eventually led to a website to create a member directory, and now people connect through that, both online and offline. For the advertisers, it's a new vehicle, a new channel, if you may, that can reach this demographic. Because we're not all about Latino. I mean, that's how we connect. But we talk about startups. We talk about philanthropic causes. We talk about NASA. We talk about new things. And if you look at our news section, it's curated content that it just so happens that people talking about it are Latino. So they're able to connect with the members at a very personalized level and creating memories that are memorable instead of just an ad on a billboard.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome questions.
Thank you,
very much.
judges. Thank you, Giovanni. So next up, we have Antonio from Interesante.
Good morning. My car was frozen this morning, so it was very good that I was able to make it. Well, anyway, my name is Antonio Altamirano, and I'm one of the founders of Interesante.com. Interesante.com is where you can find the most interesting things in the world. A smart engine that learns from your culture, location, and favorite activities. This is literally going to change the way that you're going to discover content on the internet, and it's going to allow brands to connect to a largely, as most of you know, a largely untapped demographic of about 260 million people in South America, Central America, and including United States and the Latinos in the US. So before I go on, let me talk a little bit about our team. So to tackle such a big problem, you need a great team. And we've been building that team carefully and to make sure that it's extremely diverse, not only in terms of gender and skills, but in terms of geography as well. So here is the set of the founders. So, you know, as you can see, I'm up there. My name is Antonio. I've been in tech for about 14 years. I came from Sun Microsystems, Accenture, started a couple of companies, raised a few $1 million in those couple of companies. A couple of them failed as well. But basically, we have people that have been in the industry for about an average of 10 to 14 years. So with this, we are across about 4 different countries. We are in Argentina, we're in Ecuador, we're in Mexico, and we're here in the US. So, but besides that, you also need a set of people that have done it before, and those are your advisors, right? So these are the people that are helping us do the things that we need to do and do it right. So they're putting their name on the line, and they are helping us out to grow as fast as possible, and with a lot of efficiency. So, you know, take a look. They're nice people, very impressive. But let me now talk about the product. So the product, the problem that we're trying to solve. So the problem that we're trying to solve is that content across networks is it's highly fragmented. What we are trying to do is we're trying to bring all that content into one platform, because it is hard to target the Latino demographic. As Giovanni was saying, it's really difficult to go, like for a big company like Target to go out and actually reach their main growth driver, that is the Latino population. So that is the problem that we're solving. And you see some of the brands here, and actually right now, Interesante.com is bigger than 2 of those brands up there. How are we doing this? So basically what we're doing is we're starting with the creation. So, and for creation, we're using people and brands. So we take all the content generation that exists online, there are hundreds of sites, literally hundreds of thousands of sites that are creating content for Latinos across South America and North America. So we take that and we create content. Then after that, we run all that content through algorithms that are culturally aware, geographically aware, and that take into consideration your favorite activities. After that, we focus on distribution, because that's very important. We can't provide a solution that has a blanket approach to reaching Latinos across 3 continents. After that, we need to make it easy for the user to discover that content. So what we do is we provide an application that takes into consideration your location in real time, and we serve you content that is contextually relevant to you at the particular moment when you need it. And of course, the other end of the formula is that brands also want to learn what our audience is doing online. So we provide users and brands insights. What is the impact? So this is an actual example of the website. So we call this interest, and this is the activity that you can see. So one of them has 469 interests, 48 comments, so there's a lot of activity. But basically, we've been able to grow our traffic 20x in the past 4 months. That's why we are much bigger than other content delivery networks that have been around for years, and we've done this in the past 4 months. We launched in December 2012, by the way. The great thing about Interesante is that every time that a new user comes in, an average of 100 new interests are created. We have over 500,000 postings on our platform and about 500 new interests, brand new interests. I'm not talking about comments or any type of other activity. Just interests are created daily. And at launch, we were covered by about 200 publications, again, across many countries, including Forbes, Fox, El País, many other publications. So that is the impact that we've had so far. And actually, this morning we were driving here, and we got a text saying that we are going to launch in 80 more hotels this week in Mexico. So, and this is how it looks. So, for instance, if you go to a Fiesta Inn in Mexico and you connect to the internet, then this is what you're going to see. So, most of us, we're used to seeing a really, really bad landing page when you go into Wi-Fi of a hotel. So it's terrible. So everyone leaves and goes to Gmail and, just go on with your life, right? But what we saw here is that we were able to drop the bounce rate from basically 100% bounce rate, which you can actually understand if you see one of those really crappy landing pages. We dropped it by about 15 to 20%. So the hotels are happy because they have 20% more traffic that is coming to their pages, and they can promote their interests. Users can connect with other users that have been there. You have news that are local and global, and you have information that is geolocated as well. So so this is an example of what we've done. There is competition always, right? So, but we are in a nice place. We are not competing directly neither with Pinterest or Mercado Libre, which is just to give you sort of a flavor of what we're looking at. So Mercado Libre, as most of you must know, it's the largest e-commerce platform in South America, but they're not a marketing platform. And also, Pinterest is moving into more mobile, but it's not a marketing platform for brands. And Fab, it's going down. So, so that's who we are. And any questions, please let me know.
Hi, Antonio. Leslie Jump, Startup Angels. Very interesting, and of course, it's great to see your progress since I saw you guys launch at the Manos Accelerator. Who is your customer?
We are generating revenue from hotels,
So it took you probably 4 minutes to get to that point in your presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And as an investor, I want to know who your customer is fast. I want to know what problem it is that you're solving for them fast, and that there's a big opportunity there.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Curtis.
Hi.
First of all, I like you.
Thank you.
I
like you
like
too.
the way that I'll tell you, you kept my attention the entire time. And I was wondering the whole time, too, does that shirt say keep me interested? Okay, okay.
That's the button
Okay.
on the website.
I think it's a very valid point. It took you a while to get there to where the hotels are your customer. And I have it written down here, hotels is your customer, basically. And then I thought, okay, when I go to other hotels, they now have something very similar, but they have it on TV screens and et cetera. And I think that this Interesante has a real big potential to be a heavyweight in this space, because especially as you go into other Latin American markets and you're dealing with more hotels that are centric to the people and the dialects and the languages, they're going to be more interested in these things. As Americans, we have the perspective of, okay, it's more shotgun. I mean, we like all kinds of people from all different cultures or we like to think so. Mm-hmm. But we look at content in a very shotgun way. but this is very niche and it's very focused in that area. So I think that you guys have that as a positive thing. And also the other thing was, I was thinking, is this Hulu for the Latino market, essentially, where you get
So
all this
that-
curated content?
That is a very good question. So one of the things, there's only so many things I can mention here, but one of the things that we did is we were, not just because we were focused on the Latino market, but because of the technology that we have, YouTube picked us to be one of the 3 companies to test their new version of their API where they have discovery options. So we launched with them. So we have an entire channel that is only video discovery. So that, that's definitely an angle that we're exploring.
I think that's a strong angle you should play up in your
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah.
Whether it's before or after, or even just say, look, YouTube chose us, we were partners, this is what's going on.
Right. And on that same topic, because of the technology that we have, we were highlighted at Google I/O together with BuzzFeed and other companies for this content discovery.
So, hi.
How's it going?
Great presentation.
Thank you.
As a designer, part designer, UI, UX guy, I love your slides. Your presentation style, your presentation format is kind of like, again, kind of, I'm wired for the traditional kind of, problem solution and so forth, and then get to the market and then to the team at the end. So when you went to the team in the kind of beginning, kind of like, that's great, but I want to know what the solution is. And then also in the beginning, you was talking about the mobile. I was like, looking at the mobile aspect of it and your traction, which is phenomenal. And then so I'm like, okay, this is a curation platform for Latinos to get the news. And then you said there's 500,000 daily posts being created. That's being created by your users, correct? But then you jump to hotel, and I was like, wait a minute, okay, all right, this is for individuals,
Yeah.
curated news. Then I'm on hotels. Like,
Right.
where did that come in, right?
Yeah,
And
so that's a very good question, yeah.
And which I got, which is great, all right. But then, so that's not mobile, that's desktop. Go to web, and so it's like kind of threw me for a loop, right, for a bit. So I would try to streamline that process, make it, we're a mobile platform, but then we are how we are acquire our users or how we generate revenue is through our partnerships with hotels. And then my second question, my main question around that is, who's your second customer, right? You partner with hotels. I get the general, everyday mobile user doing the curation, and then, but like, who else are you going after in terms of your partnerships to help generate revenue?
So our model is a freemium model, basically. So a hotel that wants to use the platform can use it for free, and it's we subsidize it with ads. And if they want ad-free platform, then they have to pay a premium monthly.
We good?
One quick one. Great presentation. Good
Thank
work
you.
so far. Quick question. How long are people spending on your site? Typically, what time of day are they on the site? And what's your strategy for increasing the amount of time they spend on your site?
So those are very specific details. I can share that with you later. But basically what we do is we have a metric that says if users get to create over 15 interests within the first about 5 minutes that they sign in, then they're very likely to continue on and become a super user. If they don't get to that number of, if they create 5 to 10 interests, then we're screwed, right? So that's what we have to optimize. So what we do is we have several processes. For instance, on the onboarding process, we're testing different things. We're saying, okay, so we're going to give you a set of interests where you can choose from, and then in a B option, we're going to give you a set of topics that you can choose from. So we're always optimizing for that. So we don't want to get into the 5 to 10. We want to push all users to create 15 or more so that they get the platform and they start creating a lot more content.
So just a last note on Antonio. This is the third time I've heard you
I know.
do that. I think your team is fantastic, and I think the actual product is really good. I think the hardest thing that you've had in the last 3 different times I've seen you is that you still have a tough time explaining both the go-to-market strategy around hotels as well as what that kind of relates back to the problem.
Yeah. So there's It's more detailed, right? So because basically what we're doing with the hotels is it's a dual approach, right? So you have on one hand user generation, right? So you have user acquisition, sorry. So that's one of our channels, right? So and we are focused on 3 verticals. So we have travel. That's why we're in hotels, and the reason why we're in travel is because U.S. Latinos in the United States spend about $58 billion in travel a year. And Mexicans coming into the U.S. for travel spend $20 billion a year. So that's why we are into travel, right?
I get that, but where you may want to tweak the pitch is that your original statement is that you are helping advertisers identify and find a very hard demographic. But when you start to talk about going to market in Mexico and Latin America and South America in the hotels, you're really not you're not really starting something anew that they already weren't doing, right? You're essentially going into a market that already has those individuals. So it's, you know, so your problem isn't matching necessarily the solution, at least in your go-to-market approach.
Well, yeah, that's, I don't think that's right. And the reason for that is that before we went into Mexico, for instance, for the hotels, then they didn't have a way of knowing what the customers wanted when they were at the hotels, and now they do. So that's, so even though, so if you take Mexico, for instance, we are connecting customers with brands, taking into consideration their personal interests, so that we can connect brands to the customers at the level that they need it, rather than a blanket approach of content generation for a demographic, you know?
But it's not a Latino-centric approach just because you put it into a country that has mostly Latinos. Right. So in the U.S. that makes sense. The problem is I can't find them because they're spread about. They're not necessarily going on a specific site, et cetera, et cetera.
So I think that you missed one thing though. That is the geolocation and the real-time information. So that is a very important portion of the solution. If we go into, we limited ourselves on purpose. We're not going into China or India or anything like that because we want to go into a demographic that we know. So we can use, yeah, you're right, we can use this technology for any other culture, but we are choosing to be very focused and to use the technology to understand the demographic that we come from and to solve a problem that we know, that we feel. You know? So that's the other side of the solution.
Thank you, judges. Good questions. Thank you, Antonio.
Thank you.
And now we have Rodrigo from Tiempo Meta.
Thank you. Hello? Do you hear me there? Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Rodrigo Valadez, and I'm representing the team behind Tiempo Meta. Tiempo Meta stands for time and goal, and what we're doing is empowering road races organizers to organize better their races by creating, well, we created for them some tools to register. I will talk a little bit about them later, and we want to help to create healthier communities. So I want to point out why we're doing this. I want to point out the problem from the big picture is that in Latin America we have the obesity problem soaring, and there are basically 2 ways to solve them, either by improving the diet habits of people or making them more active. So if you see it a little bit from the micro point of view, race organizing tools have some difficulties. One is that there are big players, but they are not integrated at all, and normally the user experience for runners is quite bad. The second one is for them to create tools like the timing and the registration and the payments is complicated, and for a novice race runner, it's really a very high cost to enter the market. So they start normally pretty small, and then they get some hassle with so many things because organizing a race is quite a challenge because of all the pieces that you need to put together that they give up and they don't reach the second or third race. And from the existing tools that are out there, they are sponsored, focused, and they are normally not focus on the runner, which ultimately is the person from which everyone benefits. The more participants that are in a race, the more happier the participants are, the more likely they will be participating in more and more races. And we don't need to forget that the middlemen are there, and they are the race organizers. So our solution, basically, what we do is like an organizer, they don't need to have technical experience to create a standardized, cool site for promoting and managing the races. And even if he has already his own website, he can use our tools through our API to just embed it in their own website. What we are expecting is that races will be a nicer experience for runners. Our solution side effect is that as population grows, we are expecting that there will be more people being active, just like in places like here in San Francisco, that being outdoors and hiking and doing exercise is quite a habit among people. But in Latin America, the reality is that people, they don't want to go out, or people are not exercising enough like to stay healthy. Our business model is basically a freemium model for races that are below 500 participants. Basically, everything is free. We gain from getting user for some services that we can get later. And there are some fees when an organizer wants to have premium features. Like, for example, if they want us to process their payments, we can just add a fee there for doing that process. But normally, right now, what happens is that it's cash-based. So there are some subscription centers when people need to go and they make the payment, and then they get registered for the race. There are some value-added services eventually that will arise naturally from having a big user database and people already engaged and organizers that are using our tools. The last one is kind of like a funny one because we are crazy about drones. And there are, well, if you see like the pyramid of races, there are the elite races like triathlons and like those expensive equipments that you need to participate on those races that people pay like some extra money from the average. And for those ones, we are playing and with some drones like to have them taped while they run. Like those kind of athletes, they are normally not that many, but really the fees to get into the races are quite high, and also they are like likely a good client to play with this a little bit. Well, there are some facts. In the world, we estimate that there are like 100,000 road races organized per year. We have a prototype that has been, well, we have been working with it with 6 beta users in 2 different countries, namely Venezuela and Mexico. So far, there are like a little bit more than 40 races that we have been supporting with Tiempo Meta's tools. And some of those races were sponsored by like big companies like Adidas, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, those kind of things. So we are not forgetting the standpoint of a sponsor that is the way that right now normally races are organized. And we have an official launching. We are projecting that we will have it on the first quarter of 2014, sorry. But it won't be a big thing. It will be most likely a soft landing. I think it's more important to really be close to the customer. In this case, the road racer organizers. In North and South America, we estimate that there's a $1.2 billion market of everything what is involved with races. And talking about our team, this is the executive team. We are 4 guys, 3 from Mexico, 1 from Uruguay. And those are the roles that we are basically having. And we have some interns, some bright students in IT that are helping us developing the product. So Tiempo Meta, if any of you run, most probably in a few months, you will probably be signing up through our website. Thank you.
I just have something to say. First of all, you you need to hire some guy to do your PowerPoint or something. I mean, but I'll tell you this, you achieved a lot in this PowerPoint because it got the point across. But I think there's some things that really don't apply to your business. First of all, with health, and I kind of say this across the board, and I only say this because my wife is a nurse. With health-related type of startups, you don't need to state the problem. We know what the problem is. We're overweight, we don't exercise enough, et cetera, et cetera. With your product, I think that you can go a lot of different ways with this. If you make this a no-hassle marketing platform for, Race for the Cure or, any of these kind of walkathons, jogathons, et cetera, I think that you can be in a really good place. Because right now, as you see it, if you sign up for any of these walks or, even Beta Breakers, they're creating their own custom solutions. And if you can make this no hassle for people that want to do walks that are 500 plus people, then I think you can be in a real good place. But I would tell you this, I would lower that 500 for free. I would lower that to 100 just because you want to make your money very early to see the potential as well. And I think that basically the payment part of that should be no hassle as well for the end user. But you didn't show us the product.
I can try. Should I?
Quick question while you're bringing that up. When I think of Latino races, I don't think of an especially large market. But when I think of Latinos in the streets, I think of marches, I think of parades. Have you considered maybe alternative markets where these kind of technologies might be very useful in other markets?
Well, I'm just thinking that if for those, it's just a joke, but for those people that go and they bother the traffic in Mexico City, if they can sign up and we can just avoid of them doing that, would be great. But, well, actually, events overall, there are many websites that offer this service to register for congresses and for events, which that can be another vertical that we might try. We know that it's packed, so probably we would need to make sure that it's really hassle-free so that probably it would be like an advantage to use us. Like on the other hand, like people who do exercise, the same people that actually go to congresses. So by having the same ID, we could have that database also connected to that. Although right now the focus is really races. Because probably you might not hear of many, but for example, in my hometown, which is Mazatlan, they just had, last weekend, they had the marathon. It has been there for around 10 years now, and it's one of the 5 biggest in Mexico. I think it's number 5. And if I remember well, they were like 12,000 runners.
That's a yearly event though, right?
And that's a yearly event, and that's one of the problems. Like people who run, they don't run once a year. They run it, I mean, if they could run every week. And that's why if we just provide or just supply the possibilities to go and run, they would be doing it more frequently.
And that's why I say I think this is a marketing platform as well, because if you can retain those email addresses of the people that sign up, then essentially you can say, look, if you're starting a race in Silicon Valley, there is a list of 150,000 people we can send your race to.
Yeah.
And you have a kind of a preloaded audience. And I think that is, I agree with Tim. I think your focus is very narrow, and that's just my perspective. Mm-hmm. But like you just stated, you got 1.2 billion races across the world.
Oh, those are, no, 100,000.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah,
sorry.
but let me tell you something about that. In Venezuela we have been working with this guy and for several months now. And when we sell a race with him, We promote it with the database that we have. Actually, he has 95,000 users already, so we are testing with that. So when we are launching or calling for a race, we sell it within the following 2-3 days, even though the race might be happening a month later. In Mexico right now, it's not the case because, well, we just started in Mexico. Even though we are Mexican, we just started recently. And normally what happens is like you make the call for the race and people will be signing up in the very last day. Sometimes they even want to do it and showing up early in the morning for the race and wanting to pay. And you can imagine for an organizer what a pain is that. So when you call them before and telling them, okay, this is the race, and we probably offer you a discount if you register with an early bird, like you can, if you have so many users, you can actually sell it in advance, and that's a good point. We already tried once, we did the experiment, and it works greatly. So, well,
We have to go.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is the website. You can check it on your phone also if you can. And just one thing here, we have this thing that, okay, we'll show you the ones that are closer to you, okay? Because it identifies your IP address to show what is close to you in that moment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rodrigo. Thank you, judges. Okay, running a little tight here. Next up, we have Sebastian with Foot Golfer. And if anybody's interested in meeting with an investor, there's one in the investor hours office room, Dr. Angelica Blenstrop. So if you want to make your way over there, she's right in this first conference room. Okay, thank you.
Clicker's gonna work, but I'll figure it out. I can just tap. You can just tap, I guess. Okay.
Buenos dias. My name is Sebastián Cabrera, and today I'm going to talk about Foot Golfer. So Foot Golfer is a social network designed for foot golfers to find information about new tournaments and register for tee times in a local golf course. But before we continue, many of you might want to ask, what the hell is foot golf? So foot golf is a new sport that started in 2009 in Holland, and in 2012, it started in the United States. It's basically golf, but with the soccer ball. You see this guy is the whole attire with a caddy hat, polo shirt, like the one I'm wearing, Bermuda hats, and Argyle socks. It's played in the United States in about 30 different golf courses, and it just basically putting a ball with 3, 4, 5 shots in a hole and playing international in a golf course. For a soccer fan like myself, a lot of fun. So Foot Golfer right now is a space, it's their first experiment where people can see new information about foot golf and videos and pictures. And really, our goal is to connect the foot golfer with the foot golf community and with the tournaments. Foot golf is attracting so much attention nationwide that many different sponsors are also picking up on that. The one interesting thing, though, is that for golf courses, it's also making sense. For example, in Sacramento, the Hagen Oaks golf course is having about 2,000 tee times reserved in just 10 weeks. So this is meaning that this is a market that is growing, is really demanding the sport, and is grabbing a lot of media attention. All around the world, right now, it's played in 17 different countries, and about 30 are going to be set and registered by the end of this year. Many different companies like Heineken, in Chile, Valentine's, in Finland, Jupiter, and all around the world, Coca-Cola, Red Bull, are jumping in this new sport because it's targeting a very interesting demographic, and everybody that plays soccer all around the world is there, and it's very, very fragmented right now. But the ability to market to that specific market, it's very, very interesting for brands. So our business model, basically, the whole world is starting to pick up in this new sport. However, there's really not that one place where you can find information and register for the tee times at your local golf course. So what we want to do is have that space promoted by ad revenue, processing fees with the tee times, and this weekend we just launched a partnership with the International Federation for Foot Golf, which, if you have it as a comparison, is the FIFA, to have it as the technology resource for foot golf all around the world. We have talks with different brands, as Coca-Cola, with different golf courses also to provide the service, like Big Maloney here in Sacramento. And the very interesting thing for myself is that ESPN just started launching the new ESPN Foot Golf series, which I know it's pretty crazy, but it's grabbing the attention of so many people. So what we want to do is be the golf sync for foot golfers. It's a sport that is growing tremendously, and we want to be part of it. The team is me and my brother. He owns a sports agency. I own an e-commerce company, and we just fall in love with this sport and want to do a lot more with the growth of the sport in the United States and around the world. Best foot golfing. Thank you.
I like this. It's cool. Foot golfing. It sounds entertaining. It sounds
It's
fun.
very entertaining, yes.
But around your mission, your goal here, my suggestion is like I would think bigger, because so far you look at all the pictures, everything is like we're building a platform to connect community, community site, and what's the business model? Advertising users. And so, like, if you think about, what order you come in terms of pitching, or just think about, making this bigger than what it is. Say, I think a good way to position this, like, we're creating the ESPN for foot golf, right? It's like, think that big. We're going to be the platform there for all things foot golfing, right? The news source. Not that ESPN is creating a show, it knows that you are going to beat ESPN at their game. And just kind of get us thinking, say, oh, well, this is, I can start a blog and, go from there and start doing advertising, connect the community, and do buddy press and stuff like that, and build this myself. Thinking that, no, this is something else that, no, this requires a great team. There's a technology play. We're going to be this big. You're going to, be, like, when I heard that here that you're going to be ESPN for foot golfing, I'm thinking, wow, this is huge, right? And so I just think in terms of position, what you're trying to do, put in a better play from that level. But the idea and so forth. And then try to give some numbers in terms of where you think this is going, right? It's what do you say, 2009 or 8 it started, 2012 is picking up, now we're going in 2014. So, this is going to be a big space, and it's got a potential to be at, like, maybe Olympics or whatever, right? Or like CrossFit,
Yeah.
right? And so you want to, like, give us, like, this is how big it's going to be.
Perfect. Thank you very much for feedback. And in that sense, one of the things that I really identify as having is a middle ground to find what we do best. And right now, what we've been doing best is communicating with different foot golfers and giving them information. But definitely, the feedback from making it and just thinking about it as big as ESPN, that's very, that's a great feedback. Thank you very much.
I love this. I don't know, something about it just, and I played golf before, but this actually makes it very interesting. And, there's a lot of talk about passion and et cetera, and I never really buy into it, because I think that you can be passionate about something and not really know the ins and outs about it. But it seems like, based on kind of what you said and the things that you want to achieve as far as pushing this sport further, is really interesting. And I think that Wayne was right on the ball when he said that this can be you can be the ESPN of this sport. And hell, maybe ESPN can come to you and say, you know what, foot golfing is really, really taking off. We need to buy this guy's company, bring him in so that he can be the authority on foot golfing because they are already the Bleacher Report or whatever, you know? And that's the kind of community that you want to build to where you're talking about the players, you're talking about the sport, you're talking about which clubs or you know which courses actually endorse foot golfing, and hell, you can even sell a foot golfing kit. It doesn't seem like you need much more than some velour over the hole and you know a soccer style ball.
Yeah,
so
that's
I
what we
mean,
need.
I want to see this at Pebble Beach, and you know I want to see all of these, you know, and that's real growth, right? If you're pushing the sport further, that is real growth, especially if you can get in right now. And it sounds like you're at the ground level where. But who is your competitor in this space?
We just went into agreement with the International Federation to be that a technology partner, to be able to really bring in all the players in around the world to have one resource to find out more information about foot golf. Right now, there's no one in that space. However, if you compare with GolfSing, that's a place where you can find groups, go and play golf, book to tee times, also buy into you know some wear, you know, the shirts, the caddy hats, all that stuff, and that's where we position it. But you have a great feedback into actually promoting the content around foot golf to be mainstream.
I would look into like, you know, how there's always an exercising fad like Insanity or something. See how they market themselves, and TRX and all these. See how they market themselves. Not that you're a gimmick, but I mean, see how they market themselves to, you know, fitness clubs and et cetera. Because I think there's a lot to be learned there, and I really think that you can really push the sport further, especially by introducing golf courses to this sport and saying, look, this is a revenue channel for you because you can get people engaged on your course, and then those that know the fundamentals of playing golf, they'll get even more interested in golf. So there's a huge play there, I think.
And the interesting thing is that there's an organization in all these different 17 countries in the United States, the American Foot Golf League, that is promoting the sport, that is bringing in the sponsors, that is bringing in the media, that is bringing in the golf courses as well. So being a partner for that, it's very nice. But if you play golf, you can play foot golf as well.
Yeah, I think from a personal note, I mean, sign me up for the game. That sounds awesome. Like, I play soccer and I play golf, and this sounds fantastic, right? You know, aside from the business, I don't know how many of these golf places will actually want to participate in this because it chews up the course. It's very expensive to kind of replace this stuff. You know, if you're making giant divots and making giant holes, I'm sure you figured out the process, which is great.
Yeah.
But you know, a lot of them will be munis for the most part, and there's probably a lot of
We
supply
have
for
got
that.
Donald Trump doing a foot golf thing. Rose Bowl is doing it. It costs about $3,000 to implement in a golf course. You do it off the tee, and you don't damage the tee offs. It actually costs less to maintenance than a regular golf. And is bringing in about 90, in Hagen Oaks, for example, is just one example, is bringing in 90 foot golfers a day, about 10% more than golfers. So he's bringing in a lot more people.
So they
because a lot more
essentially-
people play golf,
So they
soccer.
essentially stop doing golf for a while and then have this, or just a tournament.
We're playing at the same time.
Wow, that blows my mind. That's amazing.
At the same, you go with the guy from golf and you let him go, and then you kick the ball. And
Well, I think so. The two things I'd say, though, from a serious standpoint is one, when you're talking about it, maybe talk about previous successes in new sports and how big
Okay.
they got, and so that you can
Very
say,
important,
hey,
yes.
there's a trajectory here. Maybe we become that next big sport, right? Frisbee golf or whatever you want to. And then the next thing is, this is one of those really interesting companies that something like a Kickstarter or Indiegogo would be a perfect place to get money. I don't know how much vision you'll get from professional investors right now. But I think, something like that where there's affinity and this is a fun thing and you can really showcase it might be a good place to get at least some of the their money.
there you go. Thank you.
Thank you, judges. I want to start my own league. It's pretty cool stuff.
Thanks. So, by the way, this December 8th in the Cherry Island Golf Course in Sacramento, if you guys going to play, is the last tournament of the season here in California.
Where?
And next year in Cherry Island Golf Course in
Cherry
Sacramento.
Island.
There's 5 golf courses in Sacramento now, and the league in the Bay Area starts February next year. Thank you very much for listening. Happy food golfing.
Thank you. So now we have Veronica from Centene.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here, and the first Latina to present this morning on top of that. Finally. My name is Dr. Veronica Maldonado. I'm co-founder and CEO of Syntony. Let me begin by telling you the story of Sam.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Okay, there. Thank you. Sam is 3 years of age and came down with a rare form of bone cancer. As you can imagine, family was devastated. They looked at his treatment options, and they were pretty limited because of the rare cancer that it was. Therefore, they started to look at clinical trials only to realize that there was essentially no access for Sam. They couldn't believe it. So now let me show you who Sam is. A very important member of the family. Sam is their pet family dog. In this country, we have a drug development problem. There's a dilemma in the biomedical and drug development arena. We essentially can use rodents by FDA as sick models for our preliminary drug testing. However, when it comes to laboratory dogs, as you can imagine, for ethical and moral reasons, we cannot make them into sick models. We can only test in healthy dogs. However, also on the pet population, we are facing the fact that over 150 million pet cats and dogs essentially are living longer because we're providing them better quality of life. They, of course, come down with chronic diseases very similar to ours, such as heart disease, cancer, and arthritis, and essentially we have not opened up the market for clinical trials for these animals. And as I mentioned earlier, drug companies have a huge failure rate in new drugs that are tested in mice and could greatly benefit by having this new patient population, which we have not opened up the market to. The solution would be to connect this huge pet population with the owners that are interested in pursuing higher medical care or cutting-edge treatment for these animals, and integrate them essentially into the drug development ecosystem. To do that, we are interested in building a dashboard or a technology solution to connect biopharma or biotech companies with veterinary schools or veterinary clinics that are trying to currently do this work. It would manage the documents, the sites, the money being exchanged, and the supplies for to conduct the clinical trials with. That is what Syntony is exactly trying to do. We're building the first clinical trial management system or software solution to save families, not only their pets, but also humans, by advancing human therapeutics faster to market. The team is composed of myself as co-founder and CEO. I have over 15 years of drug development experience in biotech and big pharma. Bruno Roca is a serial entrepreneur, my co-founder and COO, and Joe Bess-LaCroix is our advisor. Syntony's we've been working on Syntony for about a year, and we're currently building product. Our first focus will be cancer in dogs. Each year, over 5 million dogs get cancer a year. The vast majority of them essentially go untreated because treatments are limited, and again, they have no access to clinical trials, from which they could greatly benefit. Many cancers are very similar to humans and progress much faster. So in 1 year, we could be studying the disease progression much faster than in 1 year in human lives. And we start 8,000 human clinical trials each year, again, without the benefit of using the preliminary data that our pet dogs could be showing us. The market size, when we look at human clinical trials, the systems that are being built is a $5.4 billion company. We estimate that by being the first pet clinical trial management system, we could capture up to 20% of this market at around $1 billion. The market participants currently, as I mentioned earlier, some veterinary schools, about 20% of them in the country, are attempting to do this type of work, these clinical trials that are benefiting pets and also humans. But their data is not compliant. Therefore, pharmaceutical companies are not very interested in funding this research. Our secret sauce at Syntony would be not only first mover advantage, but also provide pharmaceutical companies the speed to spin up these trials within a week or so versus 3 months or longer that is taking currently because the systems are lacking. The data that would be pumped out would be GCP compliant, which is FDA required, and will be auditable 24/7. And of course, we have the huge veterinary support from the professionals because they never have had the opportunity to be able to support science in this manner. For traction, we are already in discussion with big pharma such as Novartis, Bayer, Sanofi, Pfizer, and J&J, all right here in the Mission Bay. We've been here a few times already. Also, we have a point-of-care company named Evaxis. They provide medical machines to help us diagnose on the spot. So when animals come into the veterinary clinics, they could be diagnosed. Blood work could be done immediately, enrolled in pretty much on the spot on the clinical trials. Also, we've been talking to other biotech and medical devices company, which could also benefit from this model. And the ask is currently we're bootstrapping, but because we're building product, obviously that takes quite a bit of funds, and we're looking to raise around 300,000 in convertible notes to help us start the first 5 trials. And that is Synteny. Any questions? Thank you.
First of all, it's very nice to see a Latina on the stage. Thank you so much, and it's awesome to see kind of a non-traditional technology play. What do you see to be your biggest challenge moving forward with this project?
It's quite novel. The science is indisputable. When we talk to biotech, they are 100% in agreement that they need this model. The regulatory hurdles are not easy, but we are making progress, and we're being highly supportive of the fact that we do need higher care for these animals, and that people that we talk to, FDA, USDA, are very supportive of pursuing the regulatory compliance that we need to make it happen. So I'm very optimistic that it's going to work out, because we want to be as highly compliant as regulatory follow the regulations as much as we can, just like we do in humans, so that there's no question that we're experimenting on animals without unnecessarily and unethically.
I just wanted to say, so, you know, I'm concerned, right? I mean,
Yes.
I'm your style of like I look at the presentation and yourself, and the only real note that I have is, you know, just speak up. I mean, you know, be the authority up there. I mean,
Okay.
we all want to look to you as the authority. You know what you're talking about. You know your business. You know, and you're trying to convince us, right?
Okay.
And so I think you started to kind of do that towards the middle, you know, but just kind of power
Finish
through
it.
it. It's okay to be assertive and aggressive up there,
Okay.
you know, because it's your time, right? So that you can do very, very good at that. The other thing, this is more of a question, is the reason why these pharma companies, they don't do dogs is because I've heard weird things like, you know, because dogs have personalities and et cetera, and they're man's best friend. What is the real reason? Is it financial or otherwise why they use mice that are more viewed as pests rather than
Correct.
other animals? Why is that?
For FDA, is for years has pretty much all that we have to rely on is rodent work as sick models. Which is not, as an industry, have gone into any larger animal models that are sick. Because of, as I mentioned, it would be unethical to give dogs tumors. First of all, we don't keep them in the lab that long. But we have the pets in the general population that are living longer and are developing these diseases that in many cases are very similar to us, and we're not looking at that population to theoretically test on or enroll them into clinical trials. So it's just, as an industry, we're not thinking outside of the box, essentially, I guess is what I'm saying. It's not an economical reason, and there are regulatory hurdles, but you know, we can overcome those, but it's just thinking outside of the box.
So just briefly, I think all of the slides and all of your information was fantastic. I think you took us through the story in a way that I think some of the other presenters had a harder time. You told us the case, you told us why, and the story around Sam was great. And then you told us about the solution. So I appreciate that. And I think that in terms of the comment about presentation style, this is something a little bit more serious
Right.
than the other stuff. So I think it's fine to, you're a professional, so you have the demeanor that you have. Being a little bit louder is better.
Okay.
But you don't have to do a huge like song and dance up there. You're talking about something very serious. So I think I'm not as negative on your overall presentation.
Great.
But in terms of one information that I think would be interesting is if you could highlight what the rodent market is in terms of like how big that is, to give some sense of because you go to the 1 billion and you tailor it towards humans, and that's kind of a harder thing to kind of get our heads around.
Okay.
Why would you get like 20% of what the human piece is? If you talk about the rodents and what's already being done and how big of a market that is, then that would be, I think, helpful if there's even data around that. So that's the other thing. The other piece is you're an exchange, right? So it's like you're a go-between. So
Exactly, the connection.
Enterprise software. So the question around accountability and who's the one that's going to be responsible for the trials and what happens when it goes bad? Is it you all or that have the accountability responsibility, or is it the actual pharma company, or is it the clinician? Talk about that, and I think that would be helpful in kind of getting some of the background for folks.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, good point. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. Thank you, judges. And for our final pitch for this session, we have Mark from Waltic.
Hello, my name is Mark. I'm the founder of Waltic, and thank you for listening. Waltic basically is a recommender of interest. Sorry, for a second.
I saw something to liquor.
Manually.
Oh, you have to scroll down.
Just scroll down, that's it. Okay, now what we're trying to solve, and what's the big question now, today, is the three-dimensional internet. Is what's internet and what's going to be. What we believe is internet and what's going to be. Basically, what we will try to do in Waltic is enhance the experience of internet, of the user, and basically simplify the World Wide Web into one single platform. Basically, what we're doing is an engine of recommendation, what is based on what's active and passive, in terms that we recommend actively to the user what interests are in his ecosystem, and also what are the authors that he is willing to follow according to his preferences. And obviously that will lead to, well, what to shop, what to consume, what content could be interesting to him or her. Obviously, we also bring a powerful tool, which is mixed with the curation of content, which is search. So we mixed the recommendation of interest and profiles as well, together with search. Also, what we're trying to solve here is the self-curation of data and the big, and the phenomenon of big data. And also what we entitled is to approach a long tail perspective based on the interest that somebody, a consumer may have. So what we're trying to do is to create ecosystems of interest at the same, not only personal, but also to get them, all the consumers, in a single cluster. What's interesting about Waltic, obviously, is the content, the scalability, and the crawling algorithm that we've got. It makes it, a platform which can grow exponentially in content. As well, how we've solved the multi-platform delivering of content. So if you have activated both in English and Spanish, you in one single post or in one simple interface, you can post, you can publish a post both in English and Spanish. What's the basic KPIs we've done? Well, what we think is that Waltic just avoids dispersion of content, right? In most that we have created in 1 month, more or less, more than 600 publishers, and which have 30 posts on average. Personal recommendations, more than 700 interests and growing monthly. From the launch of beta in May until, now that we've launched the second version and the definite version that we see online, is we've created originally the users have created more than 8,000 posts. And also, with the platform, we've also created a curation and a self and multiple curation on visibility of content that users have crawled more than 20,000 posts. Just some facts about how the figures are, or how the market is moving. Most of the consumers now prefer to consume content rather than ads. They're more confident when they consume content rather than just seeing an ad. This makes marketing effectiveness more interesting, more rich in the shopping experience and the shopping processing decision. And what we're trying to do also is to reach the long tail in search. As the audience, big data, it's, just some figures. They say that the search and discovery prediction spending of big data technologies and services will reach like 10 billion at the end of this year and 20 billion in 2016. As of the audience, in English and Spanish, we believe we're 500 million users. Since November, content grew exponentially. There's some finance. We're looking for funds so that we can increase our team and technology. We're now in the basics. And also marketing and PR, as well as to test and implement an automatic business model for 2014. This is the team. We're based in Barcelona, and we have a rep office in San Jose, California. And basically, all are technically oriented and mathematicians. And thank you very much. If you wanted to, can I show it online? Just 1 second.
That would be actually really helpful.
Yeah.
I don't think I understand what this is at all. Can you give me one short phrase, what you're doing?
It's a recommender of interest. What it does is the starting point of recommending interests will lead you to what really interests you.
What's the problem you're solving here?
The way that you discover content, we artificially recommend users what would be of their interest on and what are they keen to to shop, activities, and personalize their their surfing experience. It's a different way of keeping their content in a single platform.
How does this
starting
differ
point
from
would be
something like StumbleUpon or any of the social media discovery tools?
StumbleUpon could be, there's some facts which are similar to StumbleUpon.
So what makes you particularly amazing at doing this? Why can you do this better than StumbleUpon or Google or anybody in the world?
Well, because we actively, what we do is we try to, from what the users start sharing commenting and keeping and crawling, what we do is we shot messages to them actively so that
Okay,
we
let's see it.
we drive them to. Thinking.
What does Waltic mean?
Nothing in particular, really. Ah, sorry.
Yeah, my only concern with this is, I mean, I didn't really understand either. I was like, is this Wikipedia or is it BuzzFeed or, I mean, what, or is it StumbleUpon? But I also kind of start thinking about, you know, Facebook, their knowledge graph is getting even better every single day as far as recommendations and et cetera. Like the other day I was on Facebook and I seen that it knows what kind of apps that I'm looking for and different things like that. And it just kind of, that's why I'm kind of wondering too, what is the real differentiator and what makes you guys better?
God, it's just American trying to look for the.
Screenshots would help.
Let's try, just for a second. Let's try.
Mark, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah?
We'll look it up later anyway.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so yeah, his question about like what makes you guys better than everybody else? Because I'm in the same same boat too.
Yeah, well, the thing is that we drive the content just beyond. We want to bring that enrichment or what I said at the beginning to simplify the web or the content that the user sees. So beyond not only your friendship or your friends like in Facebook, but also when you search in Google, for instance, right? When you search in Google and you sometimes you see some content which you want to really keep because you don't have time to read it afterwards, then what we do is, well, you post it in Waltic, and well, even if we can, we're gonna, you know, suck all the content from that website. If not, we're gonna convert that link into a post so that you can read it later.
Yeah.
So kind of creating also the cloud content of your of the content that you consume, right?
Yeah. In terms of your pitch, I would simplify everything. Like, there was a lot of text, a lot of bullet points, and you went into something like the data and then the markets, everything. I would like say, hey, here's the problem, or here's the, you know, what we see as the problem, and then just start showing me product. Here's our solution, and then like why, and then tell us why it's better, show us why it's better, and so forth. Because a lot of you know, I was listening, I was reading, and you know, some of the panelists said we didn't get it, and understanding this, okay, your interest-based curation platform around social, you know, around content, around my viewing and my friends on the web. But it's like, you know, yes, we have Facebook for that, we have Pinterest for that, crowd, you know, so it's like, tell us why you're better, and then the UI, interest, and so forth. And is it a mobile, is it web, is it just web? And then why not mobile if it is just web? So it's like, go into all that and keep it simple, and then show us the market and how you plan to make money.
Yeah, and even if you're not going to show like the site, I mean, screenshots always help because then you don't have to worry about the site being up, etc. You can just, you know, say, hey, here's what it looks like, you know, here's a quick peek, or hey, it's not done, you know, here's what we want it to look like in the end. I mean, these are all things that to help anyone, especially, I don't know, how long have you guys spent on this?
Sorry?
How long have you guys spent developing this?
This 1 year and a half, more or less.
All those people?
All, sorry?
Full time?
Full time. Full time. 1 year, more or less. No, less than. We started in April last year, in 2013, 2002. Yeah, April. And we launched the first beta in May this year. So, and then we launched this version that it's up online just a month ago. This like the second version, let's say, and that's where we're heading.
Does this start with the user, the end user having to enter in or search through this tool?
Sorry?
Does it all start this curation process by, like if I go to your site,
Yes.
how do you guys anticipate what my interests are?
Well,
Is
we
it-
try, if you come from social networks, because you can log in through Twitter, Facebook, and Google, we can guess more precisely what interest might be keen to subscribe, right?
Well, let's say I don't log in through those things.
But if you register just through email, a normal subscription, not
Yeah.
through social networks, well, we try to recommend you what is the most popular interest that, and also we let you, there is a search of interest when you log in. So if there is interest that you don't like, that you don't like, or that it's not there, then you can look for other interests as well before you.
Thank you,
sign
Mark. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Thank you, judges.